People think that deep conversation, quote unquote, or therapeutic conversation is sort of reserved for the intellectuals, for the academics, for those who are more on the emotional side of their humanity. But we're all emotional to some degree. We all have concerns and burdens. We all need to unpack. We all need to share. There's something. Even if it's purely positive, even if it's just the joy that you have experienced from bird watching, from listening to music, there's something to share, something intimate, something to strengthen the bond. Because how many times have you been out and what is this shit where people eventually, you just get on your phone, you know? What is this shit where all we can do is gossip and talk shit? Is that all that's available to us? Talking shit? Is that all available to us? Is just dancing around important subjects? Why isn't togetherness an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to investigate a collective of minds? As much as I talk to myself, as much as I engage in self-discovery, some of my greatest discoveries, some of the beliefs that have been reinforced for me have been acquired through conversation, through another person helping me along indirectly. It's not as if it's purely, again, I'm not saying it's purely about me. What I'm saying is we're talking about a particular subject matter, and I find myself being edified because there's questions that I wouldn't have asked, angles that I didn't see. I can't do it all on my own, no matter how much I hate people, no matter how much I hate this world, and I do hate this world. And I'm that way where this is not a fucking manifesto. Calm down. What's funny is that even though I'm not a Christian, that is the most Christian way. That's a very Christian thing to not love this world. But people love this. I don't love this world like that. And when I say, I don't mean that I hate people by merit of them existing. But what I hate is what we value. What I hate is what's lacking and our indifference to that deficiency, to those deficiencies. I hate our autopilot, the zombification. I hate that we don't see how beautiful life could be were we to care more about immaterial things, about growth, about the imagination, about originality, about love. Truly, y'all don't know what the fuck love is. And y'all, you who are listening, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about them. Y'all motherfuckers don't know what love is. You think you do. No, you don't. You don't know what fucking love is. You haven't defined it for yourself. Y'all have y'all heads so far up your asses. Y'all wish y'all... I can't stress enough that the difference between me and somebody else who, let's say if you consider me to be smart. First of all, thank you if you do. I appreciate it. But again, I'm a stupid person trying to be smart. Now compare me to another person who's quote unquote smart. Somebody who's educated, somebody who, let's say, has a lot of money, right? I mean, all I'm doing is I'm trying to check all the boxes of credibility for that person. Let's call him John. The difference between me and all the Johns out there is that I'm not competing with John. But John would be competing with me. I've talked to many Johns. And John, the educated, successful John, typically, not always, but typically, they are so insecure, so fucking insecure, so self-absorbed, that in moments of potential connection, they're so fucking incapable of of humbling themselves, of building a bridge, of finding common ground, because they mustn't lose their position of superiority, the advantage that they think they have. And if you heard me before, fuck your advantage. It's imaginative. This is where the imagination is going, to people's sense of self, to people's overly inflated sense of self. That's where the fuck the use of imagination is going. Again, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a doctor, whatever career that you have, even if you're just a fucking rich kid, a millionaire, whatever, who the fuck do you think you are, though? Or rather, what do you think life is about, that you being an asshole, you being inconsiderate, you being mindless, you being self-absorbed, why is that attractive? But there it is, though, huh? Because we have a president who's quite self-absorbed, quite narcissistic, full of hot air, lacking in shame, lacking in articulation, mindfulness, but people worship at his feet. So I guess there is an audience for that, isn't there? I guess human beings in spirit and disposition, I guess we're separated in that way. I guess there's people who find that attractive, who like attractive at a very basic platonic level. They find it attractive. Those who are arrogant. But I find somebody like the physicist, like a good example of a humble person like that is Brian Cox, Max Tegmark, even Neil deGrasse Tyson at his best. Sometimes in some interviews he can come off as a bit not even arrogant. I wouldn't call him arrogant, but just mindless in a way. He loses himself in his trying to educate. It was one particular interview. Most of the time he's good though. But my point is that there's a lot of very, very successful and smart people who have all the humility in the world. But that's why I love, and you see how I mentioned physicists, and Brian Cox was my first one because he's so humble, clearly. But you know, these people, what they often say, especially physicists, intrinsic in that field, in that study, intrinsic in that, I think, in understanding the universe and cosmology is a humbling experience. Because when you acknowledge how insignificant we are in time and space, that is something that will knock you on your ass and make you realize that, oh, okay, so I'm not the center of the universe. There's so much more than I could ever even imagine, so much more than I can wrap my fucking head around. What is it, like trillions of galaxies or something like that? At least millions. It's an absurd number. It's an absurd number of galaxies that exist. We can't even, who knows what's out there, man? And that quote always puts me at ease too. I was just thinking about it while I was in the shower. Too much information, sorry. I was just thinking about that quote again that I mentioned on another podcast, how no matter how great your highs, no matter how low your lows, there's approximately 1 billion Chinese people that couldn't care less. And I was like, yes. I'm just imagining people in the markets of China, people going to their jobs and whatnot, and how they don't give a shit about me. They don't even know me. They'll never know who I am. They'll never know who most of us are. And they are in their own world, many of them, most of them, as we are in our own world. And we couldn't care less about the comings and goings, the actions of them, their lives. I'm being generic, but you know, when you really, it's tough to remember. It's tough to remember that, dang, this goes to those Modest Mouse lyrics. Listen to Modest Mouse live. The lyrics are, everyone is afraid of their own lives. If you could be anything, you'd be disappointed, am I right? Then it gets poetic. Well, you were the dull sound of sharp math when you were alive, and no one's gonna play the harp when you die. Damn. And then it has a breakdown in that song. In the Modest Mouse Lives, it's so beautifully bittersweet. And then they go, it's hard to remember, till we're alive for the first time, or for the last time. I think, yeah, it's for the last time, I think. It's hard to remember that our lives are such a short time. It's hard to remember. That's why Modest Mouse will forever be the fucking greatest to me. Who else is saying just so plainly yet so melodically with such musicality? That song has more musicality than every fucking song I ever heard on the radio within the past 5 years. Who says that? It's hard to remember. Because it's true. It's hard to remember, man. It's hard. Even right now, as I speak, as I look out my window while I'm just talking, God, it feels so good to cry right now. The Purge. Oh, I can feel it. It's hard to remember. It's hard. That's why we need church, y'all. That's why we need church and secular church. But even normal church, it's just religion is very constraining. It could be quite constraining to remembering these things. Because, you can get this undue sense of comfort, this unwarranted, unjustified sense of comfort from believing that there's an afterlife, from knowing in your heart that there's an afterlife, from knowing that God is your homeboy. People use God to justify all this shit, especially when they're doing well, especially when things are going right. Oh, it must be God. So I must not be doing anything wrong. I don't need to change. God's on my side. Oh, you saw that tragedy that happened to that family? Oh, either God wanted that to happen, or they need to do something to get their souls right. But it's an unjustified sense of comfort, because even if heaven existed, even if it does exist, even if heaven exists, it will be so drastically different from this reality, from this world, from this existence. This is still a very one and done original circumstance that if I was God, I'd tell all y'all suck. Y'all fucking suck. What are you talking about? Thank you for saying you believed in me, but did you show it through your actions? I didn't see you be considerate and mindful to the people in your life. I saw you be quite selfish, self-centered. And you said, all in the meantime, I believe in God, I believe in God. It was lip service. My favorite scripture in the book of James, where it's leading into that somewhat famous line, faith without works is dead. But James says, you believe in God? That's good. Even the demons believe in God, and they shudder. Even demons believe in God. That used to hit me. That hit me so hard. Certain scripture has forever remained with me because it's dope. Some scripture is really cool. That really hit me. Even demons believe in God, and they shudder. So you believe in God? That's great. Cool. Show it. How are you showing it, you fool? We're fools. We're happy fools, man. And I guess the reason why I care more than others, I've come to the conclusion that I am internally greedy. I'm spiritually greedy. While others seem to be spiritually bankrupt, many others, damn near everybody that I know is spiritually bankrupt, I find myself to be spiritually greedy. I want all the goodness. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me that fucking fulfillment. That fulfillment that comes from connecting. Give me that feeling of oneness. Give me that shit. Tell me about your troubles. I'll lend my ear to it, and I'll truly will have a genuine response to it. And it becomes a zone, a flow that happens, and a mutual sharing, and then that connection, and then that bond. Fuck, I can't get enough of that shit. Give me that growth. Give me that realization as to how much I suck. Fuck yeah, I'm a piece of shit. Good. I can only go up from there. Good. I'm low. Now I can get high. Good. I love it. Because it's true as well. And I wish other people would acknowledge how much they are a piece of shit. Because I'm not on this. Trust me, when I say I'm a piece of shit, I think everyone is. It's not just me. Let's get that straight. I think most people are pieces of shit that are unaware of all the damage they do. They do so much damage, but they're so blissfully ignorant. And then you call them out on it, they are a victim. It's a game that people are playing. It's a game that we're playing with this earth. It's a game that we're playing in our politics. It's a game that we play in our religious circles. It's a game that we play in our relationships. Oh, we love games. We love games. I think we're a joke. People think that they deserve to be looked at with awe. Get the fuck out of here. Who do you think you are? I just don't get it. There's some super fantastic people that I never hear anybody talk about. Some fantastic literature that nobody ever mentions. Some realizations and some insights that are very much so worth being popularized, commercialized. The problem of free will. The reality of our mortality. The proximity issue when it comes to our disinterest in those suffering across this world. How we as humans are so malleable, depending upon sleep, nourishment, physical activity, the way we speak with each other. It's not insignificant. It's not just a little change that can occur when we dwell upon these things, when we give our attention to these topics, to these subjects, to action. It's not a little change. It's dramatic. I resent that whatever is good about me is not natural, so to speak. I resent that I'm looked at times as if there's any, again, whatever it is that you might think is good about me, above average, that is contributive, it's come through massive effort, through beliefs. I have so many beliefs that make me who I am, that bring out my good and temporarily uproot my bad, because the weeds always grow again. You better believe that shit. The bad is always there. And I also resent that people don't recognize that I'm an addict, that it's a struggle to be a good person. It's a struggle to be a person who's productive, who contributes, who is a harmonizer. It's hard, actually, but it's worth it and it makes all the sense in the world. That's why, because it makes sense. It's not about looking good for a deity. It's not being good for karma's sake. It's for the sake of the best kind of functionality. And that is a reward in and of itself. You put your butt on concrete, that doesn't feel good. Put a pillow under it, that feels good. The difference, it just intrinsically feels better. It's its own reward for your butt to not be in pain. So the absence of the pain, the introduction of that comfort with the pillow, it's the exact same scenario when it comes to everything that I'm talking about. It's just that much of a better, more comfortable existence, a less painful, less miserable existence when we pursue all the things that I champion. All right, so how long I've been talking? Looks like 22. Short one, I suppose so. Hey, I love y'all. Stream of consciousness, okay? So, it's always hard to end these. I kind of want to keep just saying things, but talking for the sake of talking after feeling depleted is probably not good, because I'll start really saying some stupid shit, and I'm sure I already did. I digress. Love you all. Peace and blessings. Hope y'all have a good day.